This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to Planning and Zoning, October 3rd, 2022. My name is Vern Carlson, and I am the chairman of the commission. Let me just get staff introduced to you, and then we'll go around the table. To my extreme right is Andy Belvalacca. He is our town engineer. Next to him is Alan Fredrickson. He is our land use administrator. To my left is Catania. She is our court reporter. And next to him is Pam Miller. She is our staff secretary. Jim?
Jim Giletti, regular member.
Teresa Ranciano Vili, secretary.
Brian Cummings, regular member.
Mark Parisi, alternate.
Okay. Let the record show, Pam, that Mark is sitting in tonight. Okay. Okay, with that, let's just, we have a fairly short agenda tonight. We have no public hearings. And very little on the agenda, I believe. With that, Alan, do we have any changes?
We do have changes. Items number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 6 will not be heard this evening. Items 1 and 3, Quinnipiac University had requested that their item be continued and granted the commission an extension to add.
Okay.
Item number 2 did not make it to wetlands, so they didn't make it through wetlands. And item number 6 was continued by the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that leaves us with items 4 and 5.
Okay, 4 and 5, well, we'll go right into site plan. Teresa, you want to read this in?
Sure.
You normally do, please do.
Number P22-17. We'll take this with the CAM, I'll read both.
Yep.
Site plan application of Cabezas De Angelis LLC applicant, SKPT LLC owner, relative to 410 and 408 Sacket Point Road, map 43, lots 1 and 2. Plan entitled Outdoor Storage Yard, PV Solar Panel Array and Parking Expansion. Prepared by Cabezas De Angelis LLC, dated 5 May 2022, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, IG 80 zoning district.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. We do have a CAM application for that. Teresa, you want to read that in?
Sure,
Just for the
number
public.
5, which is number P22-17A. CAM application of Cabezas De Angelis LLC applicant, SKPT LLC owner, relative to 410 and 408 Sacket Point Road, map 43, lots 1 and 2, plan entitled Outdoor Storage Yard, PV Solar Panel Array and Parking Expansion. Prepared by Cabezas De Angelis LLC, dated May 5th, 2022, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, IG 80 zoning district.
Okay, Teresa, thank you. Okay, so we'll take the two together.
If I may, is Chris on his way, or is he messed up because 2 things got knocked off the agenda?
I think he's messed up because 2 things.
Are you able to proceed with some semblance of? I don't know how much detail they need, but
Well, you're not-
so again, we have the owner.
Oh, wait, let's see.
Oh, look at that.
Just on the agenda.
He was just trying to raise the drama level.
Dramatic,
There should have been music for this.
At least they're from,
Yeah.
We could.
all right, I'm not so sure.
I went over to that wrong building, huh? That probably works.
Was everyone else?
No. That's when I started.
Well, landscape, for those of you who can't see, the applicant
All
just
right.
rolled in, so we'll just wait a few minutes to get him set up.
Did not bring an easel because I thought there might be one provided.
Who's put it there?
So, two.
That's all right. Okay.
I'll put it here until I need to.
Well,
No, this isn't for the public.
That's fine.
anyway.
Yeah, we're okay.
We're okay with this.
Not a public hearing?
Yeah, by all means, proceed.
All right, well, I apologize for my tardiness. My name is Chris DeAngelis. I'm a civil engineer with Cabezas DeAngelis, office in Bridgeport. I am the agent for the applicant. Again, Chris DeAngelis, civil engineer, Cabezas DeAngelis, and I am the agent for the applicant, who is Marie DeAndrea. Here tonight, we have Mr. Nick Renato from the engineering firm of Ty and Bond. He is the licensed environmental professional for the site. Kyle Perry, thank you, from Verigy. They are the solar panel designer, provider, installer. Mike Romano, is he here tonight? I don't see him.
His truck's out there, just,
Okay, well, we're hoping that Mike Romano, owner of Romano Landscaping, shows up here tonight and may have some questions for him. And then last but not least, Miss Marie DeAndrea, she is the owner and a tenant in the development. Just a little background on her. Her company is Spectrix. It is a 200-person company. She has offices in several states. She was a tenant in this property before she owned it. She's been a tenant since 2007. She purchased it eventually in 2012. When she purchased the property, it was a mess. When we first went there to survey it back in 2012 and 13, when this map was created, you could not walk behind the site. It was loaded with piles of debris and material left over from years of neglect from former property owners. Over the years, she has done her best to improve it. She's paved many areas of it. She's gotten rid of many of the stockpiles. And now she's ready to take the next step, which is to do actual physical improvements, and that's what's led us here tonight. There are two properties involved in this application. It's a very simple application. The only thing that makes it a little bit more complicated is that we have three activities that are all being combined into the one application in front of you. So just to take a quick look at the map, the two properties are 410 and 408 Sackett Point Road. Sackett Point Road, this is kind of a rear lot or a flag lot. It's located maybe 1,000 feet or so off of Sackett Point Road. It's very isolated. To the north is the old Upjohn property, who formerly owned this property as well and operated as a commercial industrial use for several decades, going back to at least the 1960s. The 408 property is about 2.2 acres. The front property, 410, is about 11 and a half acres. So a total of about 13 and a half acres. The 408 property is currently vacant. It did house a building that was constructed in the early 1960s by, I believe it was Carmine Chemical Company, which was eventually purchased by Upjohn. So the site has a long history of industrial use. When the property changed hands, it passed through the State Transfer Act, which created the ELUR, which got my company involved on the survey end to create this map, to create the ELUR. If you're not familiar with an ELUR, it's an environmental land use restriction. It tells basically the new property owner what can and can't be done on the property. And Nick Renato from Ty and Bond can tell you everything you want to know about ELUR. He loves to talk about them. In a nutshell, the uses of the site currently and that we're proposing tonight are all in accordance with the ELUR. Okay. All right. So although Ms. DeAndrea is a very successful business person, obviously, one thing she is not is a developer. And the landlord business is also new to her. Okay, so Want to get you thinking about that and
think
start
it's
moving
410.
into the site. Just be careful of that microphone.
Here.
Can you,
Microphone underneath that.
Right there, Vern.
Oh, on the table, that table top. That's okay, it's fine.
98,000 square feet.
It's fine.
Well, I'm gonna continue to move.
Yeah, that's fine, don't worry.
No, it's bigger,
Just want you to be aware that it's there.
bigger than ours.
Okay.
Um, Just to give you an idea where the property is, just in case maybe you're not familiar with it, again, it's located about 1,000 or so feet north of Sacker Point Road. The Metro North Railroad tracks runs along the western side of the boundary. The north side, again, side is the main Upjohn property, and then the east side is basically undeveloped land. It's kind of a marshy area that leads eventually to the Pontiac River. This is the area, if you were to cross the railroad tracks directly in this area, you'd be behind the Red Thread building, that large industrial complex. It's about that area where the 12% brewery is. So it's very isolated. It's surrounded by other industrial uses.
What is the access to it? What is the-
So the access is a private road. I believe it's called Massimo Road, and it basically just serves these two parcels today. The road used to continue on and, excuse me, Alan, yeah?
It's not, Massimo is a cul-de-sac, that if you went due south from this property, you'd hit Massimo.
Right.
The access to this is not Massimo, it's a private, if I can use the term, driveway, okay?
Is
It
that-
has no street frontage.
Is that marked Center Road on the drawing?
Yeah, maybe I should go back to here. and it would be a little more-
I think Center of Road,
Yeah, oh, you're right, Alan. This
Yeah, it's a-
is Center Road, which continues down to Sacker Point, but it's, again, it's a
that's
private
actually
road.
owned by
Next to
Metler.
that?
Yeah.
So if you went past, coming from here, if you went past Metler's building, this driveway hugs the very western side of Metler's property.
I know.
It's difficult to find if you haven't been there. And Massimo, you're correct, I misspoke. When I travel to the property, you can't put in Center Road into the EIS, you put Massimo Road, and that gives you. Okay, all right. So again, we have 410 Sackett Point Road on the left-hand side of the sheet, and then the right-hand side or the north side is the smaller lot, is 408. All the activity takes place on the north side of the property. There's three activities again. The first activity, which really precipitated this whole application, it started maybe 18 months or so ago. Marie, again, looking to clean up this kind of northern end of the lot, which was very much in a very chaotic and disarray state. She thought a good idea for this 408 property would to be a solar panel array. It's very appropriate use of the site. It's a flat site, doesn't have a lot of vegetation around it, not a lot of natural vegetation. It was formerly used as a commercial parking lot and a building. And so she has entered into an agreement with Verigy to install 2 solar array panels that would help to feed the building. So that's the first activity. The second, in conjunction with that, as she starts to improve the building and the site, she'd like to add more parking along the north end of the property. The building, you can see, is it's a large building. Most of the parking falls on the south and the southeast side, but she is starting to access and start to use the interior of the building on this side. She would like to install, we're showing about a dozen parking spaces back there, and along with that, 4 of those spaces would be EV charging stations. So the solar panel array can also help feed not only the building, but also the charging stations there. So again, she's trying to make good use of the property, improve it, make it more environmentally friendly. This is all good, positive things that she's aiming to do. And then number 3, the third activity that we're putting in this application was something that came up as we were going through the process with the town. She does have a tenant that is occupied behind this building. I believe this is building number, this is building number 11. And that's Romano Landscapes. They're using it to store their equipment, some materials. It's effectively an outdoor storage yard under your regulations, which I believe requires a special permit. Mr. Michael Romano just joined us now, so when we get into the question and answer period, we'd have to answer any questions you have about his business. All right, so that's about it in a nutshell. I could go into more detail regarding the actual site. The last page here is kind of a blow-up of the detailing that we're doing. We did receive wetlands last night. There is, you can see here colored in blue, there's a little, maybe 20 square foot area of wetlands that happens to fall over the property line. That tripped the wetlands application. They made some comments which basically came down to this lighter green area you see around the blue area is their upland review limit area. That falls, just a piece of it falls on the 410 property where the outdoor storage yard is, so there's some things we have to do there to satisfy them. But we did get approval with some conditions. Again, the solar array panel completely on the 408 property conforms to your zoning regulations as far as setbacks, coverage, very little disturbance. These panels, they sit on piles that are driven into the ground. They don't have large concrete foundations, so very little disturbance. We don't want to do a lot of soil disturbance again because of the ELUR. There's a good chance that we'll run into environmentally contaminated soils.
Chris, just a question while you're there.
Sure.
On the ULERs or ALURs,
Yep.
nothing on this application violates any of those?
No, everything we're doing is in conjunction with it. When it comes to excavation is when we'll start to bump into those conditions that the ELUR will impose upon us, but they have more to do with how we handle the soils that we find on the site. Some deeper excavations might require pumping of groundwater, and then we can't just discharge that into the storm drainage system. We might have to do something else with it. Again, those kind of detailed questions, I'll defer to Mr. Granado.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, the solar panel array, basically we're just clearing an area around the panels of vegetation. If you were to visit the site today, it would look like a very heavily vegetated site, but it's not. It's actually still largely paved. I've kind of drawn in the footprint of where the old building was, and it was surrounded by parking, but the trees over the years, the building I think came down maybe in the 1990s, plus or minus. So there is some heavy vegetation there, but it's nothing natural or native. So we would leave mostly what's there today and just clear the area around the solar panels that has to be done. The area where the new parking is going, it was also part of a driveway and a parking area that used to circumvent the entire building. There's a fire hydrant back there. There's transformers. So it was always kind of a back of the house type of area. But she wants to formalize it a little bit more. We've added a handicap parking spot. We're going to make the entry into the building, that area, handicap accessible. And then the area where the outdoor storage yard is proposed is also partially paved already. The back half of it that you see colored in the lighter gray here is currently just a gravel surface. There are some stockpiles of material here and there. It's a fairly clean site, certainly not the worst site I've ever seen as far as a contractor storage yard goes. But we will formalize it even more by creating bins where the material can be segmented and won't migrate all over the property. And then per zoning or request for wetlands and Alan's recommendation, we're going to pave the entire site that will be used. This will allow us to control the stormwater a little bit more. We're going to improve the storm drainage system that's out there. It was in disarray. We cleaned it out. We flushed out the pipes. We TV camered them. We found 1 or 2 broken pipes that we'll be replacing. So basically everything can be considered, in large ways, just a maintenance project, just putting back what was there, except the uses that are going now are much more environmentally environmentally friendly than that has been there historically. So this is a great use of the property, and it'll be good to get it up and going again after many decades of neglect.
So Chris, where the materials are gonna be being stored, that's going to be paved?
Yes, yes it is. You can see here lightly, there's 3 little bins here. Those would be the typical, for lack of a better word, the mafia block bins.
Yeah.
They stack them 3 high, they're 2 feet high each, so you get a 6-foot high bin, and material goes in it, and then that's paved because.
That's gonna be paved then?
Oh, yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And that backs up to, the Umbrella Road is over there on the left side, correct?
That's correct, left side of the sheet is.
Okay.
Maybe Mike can tell us exactly how.
Before we get to the storage, I have a question. Could you flip back to the last map? I just don't quite understand the parcel. So what is that trying to tell? What's the dotted line?
So the dotted line, if you were to read the map, says, see drawing C2, which is the next sheet. So this map is an overall site plan, so you can see the entire property.
Okay.
And then what we do on the next sheet is we're just focusing on that. Because the scale of this isn't quite detailed enough for a construction
I get it.
document.
So the entire property is that whole thing? No, don't flip yet.
Oh, yeah.
That whole thing. So what's 408 and what's 410?
So on the first sheet, again, I didn't explain, but I highlighted this property line between the 2 properties in yellow, just so you could see. This parcel is 408.
Okay.
This little
Yeah.
handle here, that's about 2.2 acres. Everything else is 410, including the driveway that goes
The
out.
access way, okay.
And that's
And
about
there-
11 and a half acres.
And there are currently 3 buildings on it? Is that what that's showing?
There's several buildings on it. I mean, this building here, I believe, is probably 2 or 3 buildings, building. All these are considered separate buildings.
But those
connected.
three,
Yes,
entities.
yes, yes. And there was formerly a building back here.
that's the one you said it's.
Yeah, this was building number 6, this is building number 15, this is 10, this is 11. And these buildings go back to the Upjohn days when they had, this was part of a larger development that they still have on the north side.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now we can go to storage if you want, whatever you want.
Yeah, I just want to have Michael come up and explain just exactly how he's gonna rearrange that and move some of the blocks around and.
Well, we have to ultimately say what the storage is, right? What's being allowed and how it's being allowed.
Right.
Yeah, Mike can explain that, it's also in the application document.
He does have a list that's,
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna, if you'll pardon me, Chris, that's very contained in the,
Yeah.
in here, and the materials stored in this outdoor area are listed below: mulch, landscaping bricks and stone, landscaping rock, salt, landscaping bushes, landscaping clean dirt. That's what,
Okay.
that's what it says.
I don't, and that's fine, I don't have any problem with it, but we have to define exactly where storage is gonna be allowed, right? And what kind of storage is gonna be allowed, is that what we're supposed to be doing here?
I believe it is, and he shows, on sheet C1,
Yeah.
a dashed line that I think sufficiently shows to me what the limits of that space would be.
Okay.
There's no particular containment
Within.
exactly at that line,
Right.
but we just say that in past history, the commission sometimes would like a fence, or even a painted line on the pavement
Yeah, I'm
sometimes
not
to say.
sure. It's all backed by itself, but you said there's 3 bins. Are the bins part of this site plan
They're-
application?
Yes. and
Yes,
there
they're
would
shown
be-
right here, and they're labeled with their material. So these 3, it's a little, I could move
And
I
I can
could
see
move up to you, but that's.
I'm old, I'm not that old.
And then adjacent to this, this would be the westernmost bin, this is east, west, there is an existing building there that's covered that he uses for salt storage.
That explains it to me, I'm good.
And these bins are small, these are,
Understand.
yeah, they're, what,
20 to 40.
Yeah,
20
yeah.
to 40 yards. My salt pin's about 20.
yeah, so you wanna just.
Yeah, why don't you explain to us, Michael?
Identify yourself first and your address.
Michael Romano, Romano Landscape and Construction out of North Haven, Connecticut, 97 Patton Road. I do have a stationary salt bin as we speak. There are 2 other bins that are going to be built within the next 3 to 4 weeks. The salt bin right now is up and stationary with a cover over it. If that has to be moved because of wetlands purposes, fine. You know, whatever needs to be done in order to, you know, make it work for everybody. I need a mulch bin, a salt bin, and then I have like an everyday, more for convenience for my employees. We dump at HQ in Wallingford. They close at 3, sometimes they close at 5, sometimes. So it all depending on what time they close, my guys dump at my yard and then I get it hauled out. As we speak, there is a large pile there. Within 2 to 3 weeks, that pile will be gone, and I will have a contained area just for everyday use, grass clippings, just small, you know, miscellaneous debris that gets dumped and then it gets hauled out either at the end of the week, the end of the month, or when that 20-yard bin gets full. More for like convenience. And the
Okay.
mulch bin.
You're gonna separate that bin with the mafia block in there? You're gonna-
Yes, F&F Concrete is
Yeah.
bringing me 30 to 40 mafia block, yes.
Yeah.
You're not gonna store motor vehicles of any kind back there?
I have maybe two work trucks and trailers. I have 2 equipment trailers and 2 work trucks.
That's a valid question, and one of the problems we have, a lot of people don't understand that if you keep those there overnight, that's outdoor storage. So there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but it'd be
We
good
just
if that
wanna
was
know.
sort of on the list.
Yeah.
also.
So if you're telling us that you're gonna have 2 vehicles, I mean, what we don't want is have 30 vehicles,
No.
rundown vehicles and that, so we'd want something that you can live with. I don't have any problem with it, but tell us what you can live with, because then that's what we should put, that's what would be allowed.
So how, yeah.
Go ahead, Bruce, go
Well,
ahead.
so in other words, you have 2 vehicles now, or is there a trailer? So tell us what you
So I
might
would,
need.
I would have 3 trailers outside and
Yeah.
a truck or 2. I mean, it all depends if they're inside, outside, you know.
Don't sell yourself short, because
Yeah,
I have excavators, kids, I mean, it
3
all depends on.
trailers, maybe 3
Gotcha.
trailers, 3 trucks would be kind of a good thing?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. I have skid steers, backhoes, loaders.
Where are
Well,
all
that
those?
go, that
Those
goes.
go
yeah,
inside?
exactly,
That-
yeah.
Okay, all right, all right.
How much storage do you currently have inside, roughly?
6,500 square feet,
But you get a lot of your equipment goes in there most of the time?
yes.
Okay.
Just that when you finalize this, make sure you tell us what you need outside. What Jim just told you. Don't say 3 will do when you really need
Well, we're probably
4.
gonna approve it, so we should probably put,
Right.
I mean, I would say, I mean,
Yeah,
if
right
we
now.
said you could have 5 vehicles, would that be good enough? So that you could safely say that's the most you're gonna need for your business?
Now, 5 vehicles is also pieces of equipment, as in an excavator or skid steer.
Yeah, well, that's it, count those.
Well, you tell us.
What do you need? Tell
Would
us
have
what
to
you
be
need.
vehicles or spaces?
Mike, we do this because what happens is people will go down and
Say
inspect, and they'll say, well, we said 5 vehicles and there's 7 vehicles. So as Jim says, don't sell yourself short,
Right.
because
And
at
we're
some
not
point
worried
in time,
about 7,
somebody's
we
gonna
don't
come
wanna
down.
see
and-
30.
Yeah, yeah.
Say 10.
Good.
Maybe you'll see
I
10.
like that. I like that.
That's fine.
Take 10 of
Yeah.
anything.
Say
That's
10,
good.
That's good enough.
if there's 12, let them go. No.
So 10
No, no, well,
trucks / pieces of equipment
Yeah.
Yeah.
is.
But that-
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
That-
10 is
Vehicles
fine.
That
/
sounds like
pieces of
trailers
equipment,
/
yeah.
That's fine.
And I don't think you could fit much more than that. I
No.
mean, it's not a big area.
Well,
You'd be
you got a
surprised.
pretty nice neat, pretty nice. It's pretty neat, you kept that nice
Yeah.
down there, it's clean, it looks like it to me in any event.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing a nice job there, and I just wanna make sure you get what you need now.
Thank you.
That's it. Is there any questions?
No,
I have-
I'm satisfied with that
I have
aspect.
a question about the solar array.
Yeah, we'll get to that, I
Because
guess.
that's, oh, we're gonna get to that?
Yeah, I assume we're gonna discuss each of these
Because
separately.
it's new to us, other than with the town's dump. You know, I know we put some up there. Tell me how that works. Tell me what physically goes there. What do you do with it? I don't know anything about solar.
So I'm gonna turn your questions
Yep.
over to Mr. Kyle Perry is with the company Verigy.
I'm Kyle Perry with Verigy, located in 150 Trumbull Street, Hartford, Connecticut. We do work in Connecticut nationally, but usually northeastern based. So for this array, it's to Structures, 2 high portrait, which means there's 2 modules or single solar panels high by 40 wide, so 2 of those structures is a total of 160 solar panels. That creates from the sun DC energy, which gets strung together, 16 modules per string. Each of those strings hits an inverter, which will be located in the fenced-in array. Those inverters convert the DC energy to AC energy, and then we have a trench within the LUR. We have a letter saying that that's within the work from a while ago. That ties into the building with an AC disconnect. So the building on 410's property, although the array is on 408, will connect behind the meter, so it'll actually offset the energy that the building is using at that array. So, sorry, question?
Oh, no, that's what, that was my question. So the arrays to power the buildings that are on site?
Correct. So the building has current load. At the time, a year, 18 months ago or so, it was a new service. At this point now, I imagine it has its tenants and it has load. So actually, when we applied for interconnection, which is approval through the utility, United Illuminating in this district. They approved the project, and when we go to turn it on, they'll actually swap the existing revenue meter that's there. That's your utility meter that's on your house, on your business, and they'll turn it into a bi-directional meter. So it'll actually be net metered. So we're looking for annual usage. And I believe at this facility, we're offsetting about 93% of the annual anticipated load.
And if they make more, we should be able to sell it back, or?
Correct, so
Yeah.
it instantaneously, if the building load is not, say it's 10 kilowatts and we're producing 50, that bi-directional meter actually turns backwards, and at the end of the year, whatever the net is, they'll either get a check for the excess, or, on a month-to-month basis, they'll pay whatever is not offset.
Great. That answers my questions.
Any other
If you
questions?
get a moment.
And just a technical question. A friend had some solar panels, and if one went out, the whole thing went out. Does this work that way? If you lose one, you can still work on all of them, but the rest will work?
So it adds mismatch. The strings that I was alluding to, the 16 per string.
Yeah.
It actually, if one goes out, it'll cause a voltage mismatch, which hurts the production and the efficiency of the string. It won't have the whole thing go out. If the inverter.
So you still get juice?
You still get juice.
Okay.
So we have 2 inverters on this job. If both inverters are down, the project's dead until we come out and fix it. But if just the string's down, it'll work just fine. If one module's down, it'll work just fine. But we do have monitoring capabilities to see if that does happen. We can get it to site.
And to understand what you said, these 2 groups will power that whole building?
About 93% of the anticipated load.
Oh, that's something.
It's facing south. I know on the site plan it looks angled. That's
Yeah.
just because the site plan is angled off north slightly, but they're facing due south
Okay, thank you.
at 25 degrees.
Now, perhaps I wasn't, paying attention sufficiently when Chris was speaking, but you have 4 motor vehicle, electric vehicle charging stations as well. I don't know if that's you or if that's.
Yeah, that's not me, at least at this time.
Okay. But ju-
Well, before you step down, I have one question for you.
Alan, I didn't get that. What was that? It's gonna be,
He was asking about the electrical vehicle stations.
there will be there?
In the parking,
Yeah.
Really?
So
Yep.
additionally, there are 4, beyond the photovoltaic installation, there are 4 EV charging stations, electric vehicles.
Yeah, so those are typically tied to the main service area or a sub-panel, so
Okay.
it's not coming directly from the solar itself, but the solar will help offset the energy utilized by that load.
Now, the panels themselves, you said they're gonna be low to the ground.
Yeah, they're 36 inches
piles.
off the ground, leading edge height.
But what kind of maintenance is required, access to them, that type of thing? Is it a weekly maintenance?
So it's usually a biannual maintenance is mowing. That's why the 36-inch leading edge height is important. One for snow coverage when it does shed the snow. The snow's not blocking the edge of the panel. Also, about 6 months annually, we'll do some mowing, O&M maintenance, along with preventative maintenance. Make sure the strings. We'll do heat maps. We have a flare gun, not the flare gun you're thinking of, but to make sure that the panels are operating properly, the strings aren't getting hot, anything like that, and obviously mow to make sure that the grass stays low.
So it'll be minimal access then, once the array is in.
Correct. There'll be a gate. That's for safety, NEC safety. There has to be a fence just because the strings can accumulate some voltage. But the gate access will be where we enter for mowing. There'll be, I think there's 18 feet between the two arrays for easy mowing access, so we could be in and out pretty quickly
Okay.
to maintain.
Thank you. That's it. I'm good.
Alan?
I'm good. I didn't know if you had any questions. I had quite a bit of information from the LEP, the Licensed Environmental Professional. And a couple of my conditions of approval came out of inland wetlands was to, there is, in fact, a soil and groundwater management plan that they're gonna be working on. Again, that was just a control document for how the construction would proceed. And additionally, there will be a final report that gets printed up. After they're all done, they're gonna be monitoring the totality of the construction, and then they're gonna do a final report. And I have asked for a copy of that final report for the Inland Wetlands Commission. We can get another one for you folks if you want it, or if you feel wetlands is.
Was there something you should be explaining to us?
Happy to.
Say
As,
again?
as Chris indicated, he can tell you anything you want to know about that.
Don't tell us too much.
So why don't we introduce Nick Granata from Ty and Bond, and he is the LEP.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Nick Granata, licensed environmental professional, Ty and Bond, 213 Court Street in Middletown. So Ty and Bond was retained by the property owner to essentially manage the environmental aspect of the project. Chris alluded to this in the beginning, but the site has quite the industrial commercial history. It was part of the Pharmacia Upjohn facility many years ago. If anyone, I live in town, I've been here for a long time, doing environmental for over 20 years. So there's a huge EPA remediation done on that site. And as part of that, EPA left behind something called an intrusive work protocol. So they have their own requirements if anyone's doing anything on their properties to address residual contamination. But as Chris said, there was something called an ELUR, Environmental Land Use Restriction, filed for this property. It encompasses the entire property. Essentially, an ELUR is an easement that's granted to the commissioner of the DEEP. It's filed on the land records here. And there's all different types, and basically it prohibits certain activities from happening. For instance, maybe building a building, or maybe a parking lot serves as a cap, so if you're gonna break that cap, there's things you need. This particular ELUR solely restricts residential. So there's actually two ELURs, and they both restrict residential use of the property. There's no change in use of the property. It's industrial commercial, so therefore there's no release needed. We've already confirmed that with DEEP. Proactively though, knowing there's residual contamination here, we want to manage soil and groundwater appropriately. You know, if there's excess soil generated, and a lot of the construction methods here and what's been proposed is going to minimize those things like ground screws and stuff like that to, you know, essentially they're going to manage what they touch during construction. Ty and Bond has developed a soil and groundwater management plan that basically outlines guidelines and procedures and how to do that, identify safety protocols, qualified personnel. If soil is generated, you know, we'll test that soil. It may then be, you know, directed to a licensed landfill, et cetera, or it may, you know, be reused on the property. If groundwater needs to be dewatered, we can permit that and treat it and discharge it appropriately. So all these protocols basically ensure that the soil and groundwater is going to be managed accordingly, you know, when affected by the project.
So Nick, what you're looking at is basically you think that's been controlled pretty good, but if during construction you come upon things that need to be fixed, you have a protocol in place for that.
Right.
Does Andy get a copy of that? And town engineer.
We're gonna get a copy.
You're gonna get a copy of the soil and groundwater management plan, which outlines all those procedures. Essentially, we work directly with the vendors and contractors and to understand, you know, where are we digging, how are we digging, how deep are we digging? We know, because there's a ton of history on this site has actually already been verified by another LEP. It's actually in compliance with the state's remediation standard regulations as it sits right now. You just have the ELUR, which restricts residential. Somebody wanted to go in there and say, build some condos, now we got a whole nother ballgame, right? We gotta deal with all that soil. But that's not the case here, there's no change in use. So it's just managing what you touch, essentially, from a construction perspective.
Was this, I don't understand the whole ELUR system, but I don't need to, but part of the whole Upjohn, like, is this part of that whole project? You know, like, we
Yeah.
listened to Pfizer and Upjohn
Sure.
forever and know how they did all their cleanup and what they could and couldn't do, releasing things into the river. That, is this part of all that?
It was, no, it's not. It's separate to that. It actually, EPA decided that, you know, it could be overseen by DEEP, and then DEEP typically delegates to an LEP like myself to
So
oversee
this
remediation.
parcel's environmental issues are to itself? I mean, it's not part of the Upjohn environmental
They were
issues?
dealt with separately, yeah. Now, they owned and operated it, and they polluted it, et cetera.
Upjohn, or
Yes,
whatever their
right.
predecessors were.
Right, so.
So these were their buildings at one time?
Yes,
Oh.
yeah, they operated on it, owned it for a period of time, it exchanged hands, you know, back and forth a few times, actually. But as Chris alluded to, it's always had a commercial industrial use since,
Right.
you know, many decades.
Okay.
That's good.
That's
Is it?
fine, no,
Good?
I
I'm fine.
understand.
You good?
I'm good.
Nothing good for now.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure, thanks.
Okay. It's always that, right? We gotta move on to other,
Yeah,
what is that? What do we have here, under other, on State Street?
They didn't have any, you guys are all set?
Yeah, I think we're all set. I'm sorry.
That's the end of our presentation.
Alan, the parking they proposed are meeting your requirements,
And that's it.
Very good.
Thank you very
islands
much.
and all the like?
Great job.
Not yet, but I'm supposed to add.
Okay.
Other.
346 State
Yeah.
Street. What's it on?
Yeah, I see everyone here and I see no one from 346. If I may, this is State Street Cafe in the front and the building that you kind souls permitted to be expanded in the rear that had the gym in it or the fitness center, and they've added on to the rear, and they neglected to put their air conditioning condensers on the site plan as requested. And so here they are. It's not a big deal, other than they had to come back. If you're okay,
Put 'em on.
Okay, we're happy with where they are, I mean, I can see where they are. I'm asking if.
there did not seem to be a problem with their location. No.
Right.
Everything is good? Andy?
Did we just agree to this now or during deliberations?
If we could write
So
the,
what we're doing is really letting them amend the site plan to add the
Right.
condensers, right?
yes.
So
Yeah.
should I make a motion to allow them to do?
Good. Maybe we could just go buzz through deliberations.
Yeah,
okay,
go-
fine.
go-
No problem. What?
No, Mother.
Madeline?
Yeah, Madeline.
Okay.
Want to go to change of use?
Okay.
I bet those people are here for that.
Yep, change, we'll wait to the change use, okay, we'll wait to the change use. Change use?
Yeah.
Come on in. For 105 Washington Avenue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I bother you guys to use the easel that you have over there? Is that an easel? So I can put it higher versus lower?
It's a whiteboard. How about for the podium behind you? Maybe that will work? Well,
We
it's
put it
all,
on the chair.
I think it's only,
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful.
yeah.
pretty well familiar with this site.
Okay.
I'm supposed to go down this road every day.
You need one of these for the record.
Use the
That's for the
microphone,
record.
correct?
Yeah, name, your name and address.
Okay. Hello, my name is Yvette Jimenez, and I own Magic Hand Car Wash on 190 Woodmont Road, Milford, Connecticut. And I am trying to convert this location here at 105 Washington Ave into a car wash, auto spa. Kind of do it a little bit different than what I do in Milford. So, right now it was utilized a year ago for an oil change, and it's been vacant for about a year. And so because it was an oil change, it does have an oil water separator, which that's what a car wash needs to be able to run smoothly. And I feel as if it's a perfect location for us. In the vicinity, there are no hand car washes, there are only machine washes, and we offer quality work. So I had this drawing drawn out for you as a bird's eye view, so that way you guys can see how we would utilize the exterior of the premises. We would have the vehicle enter on Washington Ave as all the cars enter for the gas station, and then they'll come around here. This is a large space that is, it's very bad right now. It has weeds all over, the pavement is uneven, so what we would do is get it all cleaned up and even out the pavement back there, and we'll put proper arrows and proper yellow lines here, so that way the cars, it could be, they know where they're going. And when the cars come over here, we'll have a sign up here with all of our packages and all our prices and the services that we offer. We'll have one of our employees sitting here at a podium, and the customer could come and ask, I want a full service, and we would give them a receipt. They'll step out of the vehicle and be able to walk around into our little store office. And inside of the store, we'll sell waters, drinks, air fresheners, car mats, car chargers, anything that has to do with cars, and maybe some snacks and stuff. And while the customer is in there, our employee will bring the vehicles either to Bay 1, 2, or 3, and depending on what service. So Bay 1, we're gonna really focus on doing details, interior details and exterior details, as that takes a little longer. And exterior details, we like to do compounds, hand wax. Everything will be done inside of the building. Nothing will be done outside, and no vehicles will be kept outside at all. Then Bay 2 and Bay 3 will do our full services or our express services. Once the car is completed, one of our employees will bring it around here, which is right in front of the office, and the customer has already paid for their service, and they'll just walk out, be able to get in their car and safely exit off of the premises. They will not interfere with the gas station at all. There's enough space for cars to be at the pump and our cars to be able to be right in front and safely exit. Here on
Do me a
this,
favor, hold it up and just let him see the camera, just so people heard you and now heard.
okay, on the camera, let the camera see it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Just so anyone at home listening can now see what you're talking about.
Okay, perfect. And so here is just a basic drawing of the 3 bays, so I can explain to you how we'll utilize the 3 bays. Each bay, it's all kind of one big open space right now, so what we'll do is get curtains that are plastic and clear to kind of divide the inside of the bays. And we're going to put down a floor that's kind of removable. It's like a rubber mat, so that way the employees have a lot of safety. And we're gonna level it a little bit at an angle so all the water could go down to where the water oil separator is. And the water oil separator is in the center of the 3rd bay. So once the vehicle gets inside of the bay, we'll do all of the work. I know you normally look at a car wash and it's a long tunnel and the cars go through from, getting the soap and then the machines and then the blow dryer, but we won't do it like that. We're gonna have like drops, and with the drops, we'll be able to do everything at once. So we'll start with the interior and then we'll go to the exterior, drying it by hand, everything done by hand, no machinery at all. The only machine we'll have in the building is a compressor, which is already on the premises because it was utilized by the oil company. So that's the only thing that we have to help us with our pressure guns and to help us with the chemicals and the lines that are on the ceiling that's hooked up to the compressor. But that's the only machinery that we'll be using.
Is this gonna be are you gonna offer a full detail for the automobiles, full detail, everything in and out?
Yes, we're gonna offer full details and full service, so people who just want something quick, like a 25-minute job, we'll offer that as well. So if you want just a quick vacuum and an exterior wash and wipe down or spray wax, we offer different services depending on what the customer wants. We also have the service of you can drop your vehicle off, and we take a minimum of 4 hours, and we do the inside, like every inch of the inside of the car, and then bumper to bumper the outside.
Well, that's what I meant. If you drop the car off, you'll keep it for 4 hours.
Right.
Or whatever it may take, and then it'll be a full detail on the car?
Yes.
Okay, so that's something we don't have.
No, yeah, you guys don't have it, and it's really good. We do really well in Milford.
Mhm.
So I just purchased a home in Hampton, and I've been driving around the area looking for hand washes, and there's none around. And we have a few customers that drive from Hampton and from North Haven, so we figured it'd be a good location for us.
Good enough?
How many
Jim,
employees do you anticipate having here at this?
About 8, including myself. I'll be there, so I think around 8 employees.
And
To
you're
have
gonna
about
keep the
2
Milford
employees.
Outlet open?
For now, yes.
In
We're
Hampton?
still open. Oh, no, I just live in Hampton. I don't have a location in Hampton. I've been around Hampton, and they only have machine washes as well. So I figured it'd be good to bring to the
So
community.
you have one in Milford,
Yes.
and so you're gonna, this is gonna be your second one?
Yes,
that you're gonna do.
and the one in Milford is attached to a gas station as well, but it's more attached. This is detached.
Mhm.
And it's only one lane with a conveyor. So we're restricted on the size of vehicle we can do, and we're restricted on the amount of cars we could do per day because of it just having one lane. So I think with multiple bays, we could do a higher volume of cars.
Okay.
So all the washing's inside?
Everything is done inside,
And you
correct?
got, there's floor drains within the building to drain to the
Yes.
all water separator?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
You're gonna need a miscellaneous industrial user permit from my office
Okay,
as well.
okay,
So that's something that, just get all the engineering office and we'll work with you on that.
okay,
Yeah, it used to be a state permit for car washes,
Right.
but now it's been delegated down to the municipality. So I manage that from the town. So you just need to put a permit in for that.
and are you in the same office as Alan?
I am.
Same kind of.
Okay.
Yep, same time, right.
Okay, perfect, okay. Any other questions?
Okay.
Do you have,
Thank you.
I remember it as the oil place and everything. There are a few parking area behind there for employees. You have a place to put the cars. I know the larger lot next to you is the shopping center. So,
Right.
but like you're talking about keeping a car for say 4 hours now, Mr.
If the
Jones.
car is finished, we could pull it out.
You have a space on site there?
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
so right here, if I could just bring it back to the front, where I had this drawn out, right here, there's actually 8 parking spots.
Okay, and they belong to you?
And they belong to us, correct, because over here, there's about 6 parking spots, but that belongs to the gas station.
Okay.
So here, we'll utilize this
Exactly.
space for our employees and for cars that are finished. And when the cars are finished, they're gonna look amazing, shiny, beautiful. So it'll be a good look for the property. And you guys all get a free car wash.
Just for the record.
That's a nice
Just one on the house. Just for the-
North Haven Library is closing in 5 minutes. Please bring all
Yes,
items
I'm all
back out
set.
of the
Okay,
sign.
sorry, I'm
enough.
a little
Thank you very
nervous.
much.
No, it's been great.
Thank you.
So wait until we vote, but go back to it.
Okay,
We vote.
thank you so much.
Okay, good enough. Okay, we got that. And we got the extension. The extension,
There is one, if you want to go into deliberation,
yeah,
we can.
Teresa,
Yes,
wanna go to deliberation?
I make a motion to go into deliberations.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And let's just go right up to the top here, P22-17, 410 Zacatron Road, Romano. As it was presented, and with outdoor storage of 10 pieces of equipment, I think is a fair amount, and I think they did a fine job. I'd like to get an approval as it was.
I'll make the motion to approve 408 and 410, 408 and 410 Saco Point Road.
This is just a site plan at first, right? I'll
Yep.
second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, that's good. And can I get a motion to approve the camp?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Going on to, under other here, we got the, State Street, on the, Jim?
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to the site plan to allow the placement of compressors, is that what it is?
Yep.
As shown on their drawing.
Okay, I got a motion,
I'll second.
I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Warner Road, extension on Warner Road, I guess that's.
This subdivision was approved. In this day and age, it's a little tough with 90 days to file a Mylar and get their act together.
So, it was
They've
6
asked for
months.
2 extensions,
90 days.
so they don't have to come back. If you could give them 2 for 180, if you want to do it one at a time,
Are we allowed,
I'll
are we
make a
allowed?
motion we approve the 2 90-day extensions as requested.
Three.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Take care of that. Okay, let's get to the detail shop on the change of use.
I make a motion to approve the change of use at 105 Washington Avenue
And I will
from
sec-
another female owner.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay, okay, we'll do there. Okay, let's get back up to bonds, Andy.
Okay.
Start off with this, take them right down.
Yeah, take them right down in order. So 7783 North Hill Road, that's Bob Sorelli's little subdivision that he did up there. He's actually been done for a while, the sidewalk's been in, the bond was mostly to cover the sidewalk. But I kind of held him up a little bit because I was a little bit concerned. You have the easements that run across the back of the 2 properties. And in order to get sanitary sewer service to each one of those lots, those easements need to be in place. So I kind of pushed him a little bit, more to protect him than anything else. I just wouldn't want to see him sell off that last lot and really mess himself up. So we worked together on that. I'm satisfied with where we're at on that, so I recommend a full release on bond.
Okay, how much is that, Andy?
26,000. Again, that was mostly the sidewalk.
26. It says-
Take it right now, Jim?
Yeah, I'll make a motion we approve the release of bond for 7783 North Hill Road.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Andy?
Okay, next one is that enterprise car rental, $15,000 bond. That again, bond mostly was the sidewalk. He's got a big section of sidewalk that we need to put in up front there. Things are all set. There was a few issues that we ran into. You had a storage area that was pretty much abandoned at this point. He also moved the dumpster. I think we had talked about that before. And honestly, the location the dumpster was in originally wasn't the best location, so they moved it, relocated. I don't have a problem with that, so I recommend a full release on that.
I'll make a motion for the full release of 381 State Street.
Okay, I had a motion.
I'll second.
I had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next one.
Broadway.
67 Old Broadway East. That was that little garage that he built behind the house. Is a residential house that is not used for residential uses. I'm not sure what it's used for. But he built a little garage behind, a little parking area. Yeah, not a very big project, and everything's all set at this point, so.
That's the one next to Hard Hat?
Yeah.
It is.
Yes, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, he keeps the place nice.
Really nice.
Okay, full release?
Full release?
Make a
Okay.
motion to approve.
Okay, got a motion and
I'll
a
second.
second. Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so next,
State Street.
384 State Street, that's the gas station, and there's a car wash there. A while back, they came in and they wanted to add like 6 vacuum stations off to the side of the property. So that's all set. I have no issues with what's there now, so full release I recommend on that one. Again, that was only erosion control bond more than anything else, so.
Okay. And a motion?
Motion to approve, release.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Okay, Universal Drive.
Yep, next
411.
one's 411 Universal, which is the McDonald's. They came in a little while back, if you remember right. It was just some site improvements, you know, miscellaneous things. They were changing some of the handicap parking and all, and that's all set. I'm satisfied with what I see there.
So I'll make a motion for the full release of the bond at 411 Universal Drive.
And second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And then the
Broadway
last-
West.
Yeah, last one's 80 Old Broadway West, which is the Elks Lodge. They took over that bar, and they made a bunch of site improvements, and everything looks good.
Okay. Teresa?
I will make a motion to release that bond.
Okay, got a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mark second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We did the change of use, okay. The minutes for September 12th. Motion?
I was not here.
So Vern, Brian, and Mark.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of September 12th.
And I guess I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That takes care of that. The minutes. And anything else? If not, make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn at 8 PM.
Okay, have a second?
New record.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.